Hey, it's Barrett
and Christina,
and you're tuning in to Seat for Every Ass. Hey everyone, we are back. This is episode 7. Can you even believe it?
Yes, I can. Time flies when you're having fun.
So much fun. Speaking of, we are gonna talk about fun today. That is
Tons
us,
of fun.
That's us
Tons of
living
fun.
through hell of renovations. All the things that went right and all the things that went wrong.
Wrong.
I think you have a little bit more wrong than me, than I did. But
I don't know. I feel like they're equally. Our stories are. They're jaunting.
I don't know. Your general contractor did a lot of wrong.
Besides a general contractor, yeah, pretty much not showing up, but we can talk about
And
that.
installs.
No, the installations.
And the shower.
Yeah.
No.
I
think it will be good. You have a great story of a lot of difficulties that will
Pennywise
teach a lot
pound
of people.
foolish for me.
Well,
Guinea
it
pig.
happens.
Why don't you start?
Well, no. First, let's
Okay.
cheers.
Cheers. Okay, so this is our signature drink for today. And
What is it?
it's a spicy marg. And pretty much this is like one of our favorite drinks, like go-to drinks because...
Well, I mean, who doesn't like a margarita?
And you actually can drink it in the morning too. So that's where we are.
These glasses were specialty
yeah.
made by John Pomp for my birthday, my 40th birthday, over a year ago, because now I'm not 40 anymore. And we love them. These are like so cool. So cheers. All right. Chin chin. All right, so let's talk about the renovation. So first thing is first. I found this house. It's called Casa Alpaca. Hence, we have 32 and counting alpacas. But I found this house and I fell in love. Found it online.
I saw it with you, remember? But
even before you saw it, I fell in love with it because of the arches that were in the pictures on the MLS.
I'll never forget you came with this pamphlet and you're looking at the house and we see Annie Kun,
Yeah.
who's a celebrity, kind of.
Real estate agent. We call her
and then
the Elton
Barrett's
John.
like looking, she's
always at every Sixers game, has the biggest glasses. And mind you guys, you would think this is like costume fake jewelry.
It's
No,
not.
it's actually real. She has like the full Titanic humongous diamond. She does. She met us. She rolls out of her Bentley. She has this huge fur coat on. She's like dripping in diamonds. I'm like, who is this mobster?
Then she wears her Skechers for comfort.
Yeah, pink ones with blue. But
So Barrett brings to our office this pamphlet. And she's
like manifesting.
Look at this. This is amazing. And then she's like, wait, what's this? It's a barn and it has alpacas in it. And like, here we are.
Mind you, I know nothing about animals besides dogs.
But we also were like, oh, maybe we should move our office to the barn.
Right.
And then.
Wait, so then Chris and I, we fell in love with the house. We came to see the house. We fell in love with it. At this time, though, as you know, we needed to sell our Philadelphia house in order to buy this house. I mean, it's 2 huge mortgages. So we put our house on the market and the offers fell through. And we decided after the 3 weeks that we had it on, because Chris said, I'll give it 3 weeks, that's it. And after 3 weeks, it was not meant to be. So at that point, I remember I started doing all the stuff at the current house in Philly. I got like new wallpaper, custom furniture. I was like doing a bunch of stuff, millwork, this and that and the other. And I'm like, okay, we're going to make this house.
You build a yard?
Yes, we did. We bought an entire lot behind us. It was a buildable lot and we turned it into a backyard. So we're like, okay, we're going to turn this into like our suburban Philly home. And it was amazing. And I loved it. But then I just kept thinking of the alpaca house. And we ended up working at a client's home up the street. So I was passing it constantly. And I'll never forget, like a year later.
Can we just stop at the alpaca house?
Yeah, I know. A year later.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I remember I took Chris for his birthday with all his friends in the Sprinter van. And
You're like,
I drove down the driveway here in a Sprinter van. We hadn't even put an offer on the house. Nothing. And I was like, we'll own this house one day. This will be ours. I like
Talk
manifested.
about manifestation.
I did. So anyways, a year later, I'm like, Chris, I just can't stop thinking about that house. Like, I just love that house. And oddly enough, he looked at me and was like, well, we can buy it now. Like, we can buy that house and we can also live in our Philly house. We were so lucky to be able to do that. And so that's what happened. We came back, we put an offer, we bought the house. And then we filmed an episode of House Hunters, which is
That
amazing.
was so fun. You guys
And,
have
and
to
I have to tell you, was so fun to film, and we were so authentic. I was so myself. Chris had to like play it up a little bit here and there because we obviously both loved this house and not the other homes that we saw. Those weren't even options for us, but you gotta watch it.
You have
You gotta Google it. I think it's called like Designing Dreams in New Jersey or something. But it's anyways, just Google Casa Alpaca or Designer House in New Jersey on House Hunters. It's so funny. What were you gonna say? Chris wearing the T-shirt?
Yeah, Chris had to borrow because what he was wearing was not acceptable for HGTV.
When you're filming, you have to wear like solids and bright colors.
The cameraman had to give us
Chris was wearing a T-shirt that had I think it's called a Mirage or something, and so it was
a melange.
No, it's a different term, and it like the pattern, like it's something with like the pattern, and then the way the camera gets the pattern, and I thought maybe that's what it is.
So like when it moves,
yes.
Yeah.
So Chris was like, "Well, we don't have anything to wear." Like we honestly started filming this, had no idea of like the clothes we had to wear, the colors we had to do, all the things. So the cameraman's like, "Well, you can use my T-shirt." Chris was so pissed. He had this like oversized T-shirt.
Big, and it's
He's such a good sport, though.
I know.
But anyway, so we filmed that, and at the last day of filming, COVID hit. Like literally, COVID hit, and it was all over the news. You were in Mexico. It was all over the news, and at this point, we had bought the house, and we had literally just started very light renovation, like super light renovation.
Like sledgehammer.
Yeah, like me and Chris, like sledging. So anyways, as we navigated through COVID, everything was on pause for those first few weeks. And then we had this really horrible attack at the farm. And I'm not even going to get into that because it's just so sad and I'll start crying. But it forced us to move into the barn. So in our barn, we have an amazing amount of space, and there's a little home in there. So you've got a little living room, you've got a kitchen, and then a bathroom. At this time, though, there was only a bathroom that had a sink and a toilet, and then the kitchen had a sink, refrigerator, freezer, and a microwave. Now, because our caretaker lives there, it's a full home for him. But at this time, it was not a full home. And we moved into the property here with our kids. We had 3 dogs at the time. We lived on one blow-up mattress for 5 months because right before the attack had happened, Chris got all excited, came into the house, and he demoed the entire house himself.
So it was not
This is 8,000 square feet. He demoed the entire thing with his workers himself.
Like in a week.
Yeah. So when the attack happened, we're like, well, we can't even move into our house and like live in it during renovation because there's nothing to live in. Like it's not even livable. So we moved into the barn. And COVID we were in the thick of it. You were coming over. And then finally, starting October, November time, we actually then started renovation. So we bought the house in February. We started full renovation by October/November.
As soon as your floors went in, I think you guys were like sleeping on mattresses.
We did.
In the house.
Not even our floors, just the upstairs floors. Yeah. As soon as the upstairs floors were laid, we were on blow-up mattresses in this house. I mean, we had to get out of the barn. We were in there for 5 months. We were sleeping on one, not even multiple blow-up mattresses. One.
And then there was a dirty, dirty sofa. And then
it was disgusting.
The window,
you guys, I am so not high maintenance. Like, you don't even understand. I might look extremely high maintenance sometimes, or I might be like a little crazy, but I am not high maintenance. The fact that I could actually sleep on a one blow-up mattress with my husband, my 2 kids, my 3 dogs, put a bucket in between us when it was raining, and still be married and still actually be nice, it's good.
And then
good things.
The living room / bedroom.
Yes.
Only bedroom. There's a window that transitioned from the actual barn. You could see the animals.
Yeah, they would always look in.
And the light was always on.
Always
so
on.
You guys had to trash bag that.
We didn't have any window treatments, so we put trash bags up.
Luxury.
You guys, this is luxury design.
Yeah.
Listen, it humbles you. It makes you realize what's so important. And because of that, I feel like this renovation became even more special to us when the house was actually like coming together. So for me, what was really important at this time was reevaluating our function and the space planning of this house. Like, luckily enough, We have super high ceilings. It's a U-shaped house. It has a great function and flow. There's so many architectural details of this home that I fell in love with, and why I had to move into this home and no other house. So I was lucky with that. However, there were areas like the room that we're in right now that was a part of a bathroom and also led into a laundry room. We didn't need 7 full bathrooms. Like, it was not necessary for our house. What was necessary was for me to have a ladies lounge, which we're in.
That was pretty necessary for me too.
I mean, during COVID, this is where we would hang out. We would dance. We'd have cocktails. We'd talk.
Well, not just during COVID.
Well, no, but meaning during COVID, it was like this was the club.
That was
no
like
more
our
Bungalow
bar.
8. But it was
like
you really realized during COVID, I think, what it is that you need at your house, because no one was leaving their homes. So it was perfect time for renovation, I think, for us. With all of the renovation and the cost of renovation, something that Chris and I decided to do was general contract our own project, which I'm a designer. I'm not a general contractor. But in order to really put the money towards the materials and the things that I wanted, which you know all about, this was very helpful in the sense that we could just manage this. And honestly, all in all, there was one major hiccup that we had, but it was fixed right away. And I don't even know if we had a general contractor, if that wouldn't have still been a hiccup, because I talked to other designers and I'm like, have you ever been through this? And they're like, oh yeah, I mean, I've done that, but I've never even thought about that before. So basically my husband's bathroom, so we have separate bathrooms.
Lucky.
Key to a great marriage over there, separate bathrooms.
If you can do it, do it.
Do it. So I basically, just like I said, we had too many bathrooms. We also had too many bedrooms. So a bedroom became my closet and my bathroom. And then he has his bathroom, which is attached to our bedroom. But anyways, we were doing all slabs in his bathroom. And mind you, that's on the second floor. And underneath us is the formal living room.
We also have to talk about the relationship that we had with this vendor. Somehow you got an amazing deal.
I did. I got a really great deal.
But then ended up being...
I mean, it was still insanely expensive, and my accountant probably thinks I'm the biggest idiot ever. But I did get a really good deal for me. I mean, like...
It was an amazing deal, but in the end...
People used to always ask us, like, during both of us doing our renovations, and they're like, yeah, but don't you guys get, like, really good deals? I'm like, yeah, we're getting really good deals on, like, insanely expensive things that are still insanely expensive that we actually can't even really afford, but we're doing it because we're making portfolios for our business, and it's our passion. These became, like, our homes became marketing for us.
Right.
So, like, we were taking all the risk. Like, I was buying light fixtures that were more expensive than cars that I owned. But guess what? I was taking the risks for the rewards, right?
Right.
So, yes, were we getting good deals? Yes. Would people look at that and be like, you're crazy for spending that? 100%. Yes. However, in the end, it's our marketing.
I just had to note that because you were so excited about it. And I'm like, I am as your partner. Yes, good for you.
We're crazy. This is why Chris has become our CFO.
I know.
We're like, oh, that's great.
We're definitely not good influences on the monies spent.
The monies.
But yes, we design highs and lows for our own house.
Well, you and I didn't really have we didn't really talk about budgets for our houses with clients.
We never had a budget.
We talk about budgets. We are very good about working within budgets. You and I are more like, okay, we're going to take the risk. We will eat McDonald's for the next couple months, and then we'll work extra hard and make it up because we're going to sign on a job or whatever. Like, you and I think...
Or broth soup.
You and I think... And shop at TJ Maxx. You and I... And Amazon. You and I think very similar in that sense that, like, we're willing to, like, risk so much, but it's to put towards the company.
Yeah.
That's what I think people need to understand is, like, not only are these our homes, but these are truly our marketing pieces. I mean, how many, for both of us, our homes have been shown in magazines and on YouTube and Instagram. There's been a lot. So that's huge for us. But anyways, with this bathroom, I needed 56 slabs of stone. Okay, mind you, 56 slabs. And at that time, we didn't realize that it was over 10,000 pounds of slab and that the ceiling was going to literally collapse into the formal living room if we did not reinforce the joints.
Yeah.
So we had just finished painting our whole house and doing all electrical. We had to literally take down the ceiling, reinforce it, all the sister joints, which was actually an additional $10,000 to that cost that we did not even think about. And I remember that happened, and I was like, oh my God, Chris is going to be so mad, and he's going to think I'm like such an idiot. Like, how did I not think about this? And then I was like going to other designers, and I'm like, I see that you guys use slab and it's a second floor. Have you ever thought about this? And they're like, no. So then that made me feel a little bit better. But it did teach me a major lesson, because now moving forward, we've had a lot of clients that we've designed similar in the sense of all slab. And right away we're like, okay, we got a sister joint the joists. So
or
that
if
was
it's a build up, then they will already do that. So it's a really good learning lesson, I should say. I had the same issue for my bathroom. It wasn't slab, but it's an inch and a quarter thick tile that weighs an insane amount. But we have a balcony that actually supports the weight of the tile in the concrete tub.
Right.
So we had an engineer come in, and they're like, okay, you guys should be good.
Yeah, we had to have an engineer come in too, and that's how we like figured out that we needed the supports and everything. And thank God that we did. But yeah, it wasn't a happy extra 10 over there. And then
the
extra
10, and then the installation.
Yeah, I know. The other thing was, I'll never forget, I finally bought my very favorite light fixture from Anna Carlin. I had waited for this moment. I was so excited. Yeah. We had installed the light. The light was up. I came home, and it was in the dining room. And I came home, and I was on the phone having a pretty hectic phone call about something that was going on at work. And all of a sudden, I just see water spewing out of this light fixture, like spewing. And there was a plumber there that was working, and I was like freaking out. Like, I literally started screaming. I'm like, grab the towels. Our nanny at the time, she's running over. She's got towels. We're like on a ladder trying to stop the water. The plumber comes down, and he has like no idea what's going on. I was like, what in the heck did you do?
Oh, yeah, he was working on the laundry.
He turned on a like unnecessary valve that then went. I have no idea. It was like a mess. Thank the gods, the light is fine. Somehow, some way, they took the light down. They let it air out. I don't even know how. There was literally no. I mean, the spewing of the water. You would think that light was finished, and I don't even know if their insurance could have covered that light fixture.
No, definitely not.
So, mind you, they never came back to this house ever again.
Well, my situation.
Yeah, yours. That was like my two things.
Yeah. So
first off, tell everyone how I played real estate agent for you.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about COVID for a hot second, because obviously everyone's life wherever they were is different and special. Ours, as Barrett said, we were coming back from Mexico. Literally, when we came back, there was not one person in the airport. It was insanely crazy. So we come back. We're all hectic, not knowing what to do. We decide that we're thinking about like getting out of the city, because we're literally like.
Well, you were also coming over to my house every day, and the kids were like Lord of the Flies. They were like naked, running around in the mud. Yeah, like we have the cutest pictures of the boys like in the mud, naked, like jumping around. Like we could never show those, but like naked in the mud, running around, like playing with the goats. Like they were literally
like really nice.
We were camping.
Yep.
Again,
camping.
We're not high maintenance over here.
It was like,
I'll never camping
forget,
again.
It was like 30 degrees one night, and I'm like, ah. But anyway, we decided, because due to the riots and everything, we had just built a house in Fishtown. Took 2.5 years of a lot of annoyances and frustrations, and finally we're in our house. We lived there 1.5 years, and then during that 1.5 years, Barrett's like living this dream life, even though her house is not anywhere done. We just have the outside to hang out in.
It was just like all the land and the space and the fresh air and the trees and the grass and like.
And at this
time we were like, we had no idea what was going on with life. So it was just having that like freedom. I think you just really loved.
I was like, and
it's so close to the city.
Right. So, and our house in Fishtown was only 20 minutes away from you. So it was very easy to come back and forth. And then we were like, oh my gosh, we've only lived here like basically 1 year. We're going to go to Vermont. We're going to go skiing. And we're going to see if our real estate agent has any bites. He took pictures and everything. And so we had
He
two
was
cash
awesome.
buyers. We didn't even put up like for sale. And so we negotiated terms and
That was
got
that.
exactly what we
And then
wanted. And then Barrett,
you had to find a house.
and
You guys were
Barrett,
out.
yeah, and Barrett's like, well, we did look at like a couple other houses with you
Yeah.
actually, but they just weren't what we wanted. And not for nothing, this house next door to
Yeah, you guys.
is
So
not actually
wait,
the
so
most amazing
Christina and I
house.
don't know if we've talked about this in the other episodes, but Christina and I actually live on the same street, but like catty corner from each other.
Yeah, it takes 3 minutes to walk to each other's houses, and
It's like a 2-acre, 3-acre difference.
yeah,
And it's so fun because we take like our Kubotas back and forth, and then the kids like walk
Do
or
whatever,
bike
yeah.
or whatever. They don't like
It's amazing.
it's just like one compound of White and Machete, and then also Zan living in
I
front of
know.
us. It's like so funny, but
But anyway, so I walk in the house and I'm like, oh no, this is a renovation. Like
A
this
major
was
renovation.
an insane renovation.
But you also, I think you also had like,
dollars.
but I think you also had the ick or the itch because we were going through it and you're like seeing how like amazing it is that like,
Yeah.
you know, the first house that you built was great and everything, but it wasn't like your, like you didn't
was-
put all the
Yeah, it
money
was a
into
fi-
it that you did
yeah,
with this house,
It
right?
was a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
pretty
So
much.
this was like you going into this new property, you looked at it like how I looked at mine, which is like, this is forever. This is so, going to be so fun because now I get to actually do what I really want to do, even though you had obstacles.
Yeah.
But you were, I think you were like excited about how I was excited about my own. You like wanted that feeling too.
Well, not at first. It was, I always said, I will not have low ceilings in my life. And upstairs are 8-foot ceilings.
Yeah.
You would never actually really know the way I designed it because I elongated all aspects of the upstairs. And I actually, it doesn't bother me. You would never know. Like you would think it's at least 9 feet. But like everything was just, we had 3 layers of tiles, like on top of one another. That demo had to happen. We had a staircase that was the opposite way in the foyer where you walked in and you're behind the staircase. None of it made sense, which is so weird because an architect actually built this house and lived in it. And
Well, this is
we all
what we
know-
say
that's another
sometimes.
thing.
We love architects. We have to work with them. We
Right.
need to work with them. But there's a reason why you have an architect,
And
an
a designer.
interior designer, and then a builder.
Correct. You need all 3 in order for a property to be literally perfect.
Yeah.
And the flow of my house is something I couldn't change. Like I couldn't change the fact that you walked in a foyer, then you have your formal room, and then guess what? There's a dining room that's like open to everything.
Right.
And then you have to walk down a hall to get to the kitchen, and then you have an insanely odd space called it like our den, which is like our family room, like a sunken in family room, and we had to figure out like how to actually make that space more inviting than just have this weird angular shape. Like,
I have to say, though, I love a sunken in family room. We have one, too. Same with our formal room. I love it. I feel like it's something that just you don't see nowadays. And it's coming back in the industry a lot.
is.
Like people are definitely putting them back into homes.
Right.
And also, I think what's coming back too is like open floor plans, but a little bit more sectioned off.
Sections.
Like kind of like how we opened up our kitchen, but there's still a bit of a divider there. So you feel that you're not just in your living room and kitchen in one. So like that is definitely coming back where
Right.
we saw a huge trend of just like full open floor plans. But like
now
for you,
people are doing I'm using partitions.
Yes.
And I think
because
partitions.
it's nice to have a little bit of a
Yeah.
divider and like make these spaces feel a little bit more intimate and that they have purpose. When you have one big open floor plan, you start to lose the spaces in terms of
the
like
beauty of the special spaces.
Yeah.
Like you
I'll
have
never,
it.
remember when we went to Nashville and Lori took us through that one house and the ceiling like dropped down really low into the one room. And she's like, I know that this ceiling is low, but it makes the space feel so cozy and
Right.
it has like purpose.
And
I
intimate,
remember
yeah.
walking in there and being like, she's so right. Because if the ceiling was super high and you were in this room and it was totally open, you didn't get that same setting, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with like whether you section things, and we're going off a tangent, which we usually do, but like sectioning off different rooms by,
Cheers to that.
let's say, like a cloud ceiling or drop ceiling or a partition or, kind of clever ways to actually make that space as special as it deserves, I should say.
So, Christina, why don't you talk about, as our episode is nearing a close soon, talk about
trials and tribulations.
Yeah,
okay,
talk about
so
the things that you went through and maybe the things that you learned from it, because you were not general contractor. You did work with a general contractor, but you were your own client in the sense that you were not like me that was a client and general contractor. So maybe you could give some people some tips.
So I hired a contractor that a client separately, individually hired because of someone, like just a referral. So I was like, you know what? Let's just see. I definitely need a hire contractor. It wasn't COVID. I could not be home. Like I literally.
And I think at this time too, we were trying to branch out in this area. So you were like, okay, I'll give him a chance. Maybe he'll be good for our clients.
True. Exactly. And he worked also in Philly. I mean, it was like a huge company, all the branding you can imagine, the vans, the hats, the shirts, very, very professional. Needless to say, they hired people that were not professionals, and they pretty much like didn't show up. They did a lot of wrong,
a lot of bait and
things.
switch.
The materials that we used were not, they're all from like either England or Italy. From the tiles to the plumbing, because why I didn't want to really go the route of, I wanted a little bit more unique things that clients could come, like if we could try to like sell a client on something that's not like a Kohler.
Well,
they want to see a Samuel Heath.
Right. I think that's also the beauty of why we were designing these homes. And like I said before about it being a marketing, like a lot of the stuff and most of the stuff in our homes was either custom or was something that you're not seeing at your usual showroom.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that said, and needless to say, because I went that route, these people had no idea what they were doing.
They knew how to like hang a Home Depot light fixture, not a Lindsay Edelman.
Right. So, between the lighting and the plumbing and the tiles. So, needless to say, I was just insanely frustrated. I started taking away all of their duties, their scope. Like I found my own electrician.
You almost at one point were going to sue them.
I know. It was really, really bad. I'm like, I cannot believe
they were making horrible mistakes.
Yeah.
And
horrible.
Didn't know what they were doing, not following plans. And then now on top of it, you're dealing with
I'm dealing with a disaster. So the kids' bathroom, I definitely wanted to be something very special for them. They share the bathroom. And I got these tiles.
Such a cute bathroom.
Handmade tile by tile, coming from Italy. Insane amount of like duties and tariffs that you have to pay just to get this 1.5 inch tile over. And basically we had a leak in the house. And we're like, where is this leak coming from?
I'll never forget when that leak started.
It was so bad. And then you could just see like the house.
And everyone knows when you have a leak in your house, you're like, oh.
You're like, what is underneath there?
Where is that coming from?
So
no one wants the leak.
This was in September. So basically I reached out. I knew that I had to replace the whole entire shower pan. And I reached out to the tile company, and they said they went out of business.
It only goes worse. It only gets worse, guys.
So that's the thing. Like if you source from like a company that you don't know.
And you didn't even have like leftovers, huh?
I didn't have any leftovers because
so usually,
when you're dealing with a tile person that's...
I know. But usually we get at least
10%.
10 to 20% of overage, depending on the tile, what is needed, what the cuts are like, etc. Well, with this, it sucked because you didn't have the overage and it was specialty and they went out of business and now you're screwed.
But they did have the overage, but because they were not skilled, there was a lot of waste.
Right.
So
they cut improperly, wasted a bunch of tiles. Guys, it happens. We also go through these things. You guys have horror stories out there of renovations and builds. We go through these things as well. We're also clients. It happens.
Right. So kids have not had the shower for 6 months. I had a specialty outsource to get the perfect tile. Like we're talking terrazzo and marbles and exact colors. It's a pattern.
Yeah.
It's like a specialty inset pattern.
And I don't think your insurance is covering that, is it?
Yeah, no, definitely not. But here I am, like $15,000 to $20,000 in on doing the entire kids shower.
And you can't go back to that contractor because aren't they out of business
Yeah,
too?
they went out of business. After our house. Lovely. So, yeah. It's just
love life with contractors.
There's a lot of things like here and there, like our sink for some reason, like the sulfur.
But mind you guys, we did these 4 and 5 years ago, and being our own clients and also only in the industry for
at that time,
technically
5 years.
Yeah, not even in interiors. We're like 4 years. We learned so much. A lot of designers are not, they're not contractors. They don't act as contractors. They don't even project manage contractors. We do all of that. And by going through these 2 experiences, I think you and I just alone grew a ton in terms of the construction.
Yeah. Well, when you say 2 experiences, she means the 2 houses as a whole experiences.
Because these are, they're big homes.
Yeah.
Like, big properties, and you're talking gut renos of moving staircases, putting beams in, making rooms, rooms that they were not, adding extra rooms, doing additions. Even us doing our outdoors, the pool and that whole situation, like that has been a huge project of its own. And we've never really dived into the
exterior
outdoors
stuff.
for a client. And now I feel like I know so much more because of
I
going through it myself. And let me just tell you, a pool contractor is
also,
I think,
you have to do your diligence, do your interviews because, listen, not everyone is a good businessman.
Most of the pool contractors, I feel like, are just crooks.
Shady.
They're crooks.
Shady.
I love my pool, though. Don't get me wrong, but it was a lot of unhappiness in that process.
Yeah, and aggravation.
Yeah,
which,
but all in all, we learned so much, and now we both live in our dream homes, even though we're both not finished. It's a never ending.
I'm a year behind.
Never ending. I know but you bought a year later. I wished I was done by now, but it's expensive, and when you want to do it right, you have to. It's a marathon. It's not a race.
Right. Even
this
if you
is a
have
marathon,
the vision,
not a race.
You just can't expedite it right away.
No, we're not. You and I are not willing to sacrifice quality and design, so we'd rather wait.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain areas, like the wine room, for example, I know I'm going to get it done, but it might take me 10 years.
Hopefully
I'm not, I know.
Because then I'll hear every day still. I want my wine room done. I want my wine room done.
I think about it all the time.
The lights, the ambiance.
And the specialty table.
Oh, yeah, that table's like meant
Listen,
for you.
if you have any good lottery tickets, mail them my way. I will use them, and I hopefully will win. Add it to my list, my bucket list.
Times 2.
So let's raise a glass and let's cheers to getting through nightmares and happiness.
Times 2.
And happiness.
And happiness.
Listen, there's always a solution. We've always found those solutions, and we're loving life. So in our next episode, we are going to talk about why you should hire a designer, why you are not a designer, meaning clients, and what our process is like working with Weidel and Bichetti. So stay tuned. Make sure that you subscribe, like, follow, do all the things. Keep up with C for Every Ass.